Okay, for this next commentary, we're going to try something new. This is a program called Explain Everything that I have just downloaded to my iPad, and it seems to maybe be doing a better job at what I want it to do than some of my other tools. So we're going to see how this works for us. Let's see here. Oh no, that's not what I wanted to do. Hold on. Weeps. Part 1. There we go. We are at Act 2, Scene 1. Oh, this is Act 2, Scene 1, Part 1, by the way. So, the scene starts with Banquo and Fleance is his son. And his son should be interesting to us because we know that while Banquo is not going to be king, he's going to have children who are going to be kings. So, or at least according to the prophecies. So we want to pay special attention to Fleance. Fleance has been keeping watch in the castle, and Banquo makes this very interesting observation. He says, well, check this out. He says, "There's husbandry in heaven, their candles are all out." Now, what this means, husbandry is a word that meant frugality or to be cheap. So basically what Banquo is saying is that heaven's trying to save on its electricity bill tonight because they're not using their candles, right? They would have used candles in that day and age to light the room, not electric light fixtures. But heaven's candles are, of course, the stars. And so this brings to mind the dark and light imagery, the idea that stars are a sign of nobleness. Remember, Lady Macbeth and Macbeth both wished for the stars to not appear in the heavens when they were doing their bad deed. So they have essentially got their wish because the stars are all out. And they've invited blackness. This is really fun. They've invited darkness into the world, into their world. So they can now commit their murder because heaven won't be able to see them to stop them. Then Banquo, this is Banquo, says these lines. He says, "A heavy summons lies like lead upon me, and yet I would not sleep." He's like, it's like there's lead weighing on me that in order to make me sleep, and yet I can't. He then says, "Merciful powers, restrain in me the cursed thoughts. Restrain in me the cursed thoughts that nature gives way to in repose." Remember how Macbeth also had cursed thoughts? But he said, "Why do I yield to those cursed thoughts?" Banquo calls upon the merciful powers. That would be heaven. He's asking heaven to help restrain in him the cursed thoughts that nature gives way to in repose. He is asking for help from the supernatural, and this brings in a new theme that we're going to call the role of the supernatural, and it will be represented by this picture of the witches here. The witches may be casting a spell on Banquo too. Maybe they are responsible for these cursed thoughts. I may be going a little crazy here with these lines. But Banquo says, I don't have to give in. I can ask heaven to help restrain these thoughts. This also relates to the theme of the tragic hero. Because the tragic hero has to be seen as responsible for his actions. And if Macbeth is just under a spell this whole time, then he can't be seen as responsible for his actions. But here we see, by contrast, Banquo says, if the evil people are doing the huju on you, you have an option. You can ask heaven, which in this worldview, which would be a greater power, to help you and aid you. You can do something about it. Don't just say, oh, I'm under a spell, I guess I better get into it. You have options, you have agency, you have power, you have control. So that relates to that theme there. Some other things happen, and then Macbeth shows up. Banquo says to Macbeth, I dreamed of the three weird sisters. I had dreams of the witches last night. And he says, your prophecies seem to have come true. Macbeth says, I don't think about them. I think not of them. Well, we know that that's not true. And so, of course, this relates to the theme of the conflict between appearance and reality. Conflict between appearance and reality. Okay, I'll get better at this, I promise. He then says to Banquo, he says, I've got this deal going down. I'd love to talk to you about it. We would spend some words upon that business if you would grant the time. If you have some time, I want to talk to you about the whole thing with the witches. And Macbeth says, if you shall cleave to my consent, if you shall cleave to my consent, if you go along with me, if you agree with me, then when the deal happens, it shall make honor for you. If you go along with me, then when this plan happens, you're going to get honor. But Banquo here says, yeah, as long as I don't lose any honor while I'm seeking to augment it. To augment is to raise. And so he says, while I'm seeking to raise this honor, I want to make sure that I don't lose any. I don't want to do anything that might be dishonorable. And he says, but if I can still keep my bosom, bosom, he just means his heart, franchise and my allegiance clear, I shall be counseled. If I can go along with your plan without doing anything dirty, without doing anything bad, without doing anything illegal or immoral, I will go along with your plan. Now, it's kind of an odd thing for a friend to say to another friend. If your friend comes up to you and says, hey, I've got this great plan, I want to talk to you about it, and if you join along with this plan, we're going to be rich. If you say back to that friend, well, just as long as I don't have to do anything illegal, what does that say about what you think about that friend? Doesn't this sort of indicate that Banquo already suspects that Macbeth might be involved in some kind of foul play? Because he's already worried that a plan that Macbeth might involve him in might have some dirty doings. So this shows, again, how the nature of their relationship is starting to fragment a little. They're starting to not trust each other. It also shows us a lot about the character of Banquo, that he's hesitant, he's cautious, he's wise. He really thinks about what are the implications in terms of my soul when it comes to anything that he's involved in. And that is, hold on, the end of part 1.